Toy Story was the first fully 3D animated feature film ever made. Released in November of 1995, the film set a new standard for animation technology with its cutting-edge graphics and creative premise. Just kidding, it's a cheap knockoff of The Brave Little Toaster. The movie tells the story of Woody, who's the leader of a group of toys belonging to a child named Andy. When there's no humans around, the toys magically come to life and do exciting things like staff meetings. Woody gets jealous when Andy receives a birthday present, the brand new Buzz Lightyear toy which features Titanic elbow thrust and laser vision. The movie is a very simple story about overcoming rivalry and how funny it is to traumatize an evil psychotic child. The film was a massive success, spawning a franchise with a ton of sequels, like Toy Story 3, which is a prison heist film that explores the theme of growing up and passing on the torch to the next generation. Toy Story 4 is an existential exploration of existence and Woody's journey to find fulfillment. Also, Forky is the GOAT. Toy Story 5 explores the topic of children and electronics in the modern world, as well as Jesse's fear of abandonment. Pixar has already announced at least 40 more films in the franchise will be released over the next couple years. Yes, that's a fact, don't look it up. Outside of theatrical releases, there were also some spin-off TV specials. There was a Buzz Lightyear movie that doesn't exist, a Buzz Lightyear spin-off TV series that came out between the second and third movie, and oh wait, I totally skipped over the best Toy Story movie. While the other entries are excellent films in their own right, Toy Story 2 is my favorite. Woody is toy-napped by an evil businessman named Al Newman. The other toys track him down and try to save him from being shipped off to Japan, a fate that is worse than death. If you're worried that joke was insensitive, don't. How can it be insensitive when Japan isn't even real? Woody finds out that he's a valuable collector's item, part of the famous Woody's Roundup gang. The other members of the gang include Bullseye, the silly horse guy who can't speak, Jessie the yodeling cowgirl, she's a girl who yodels, what more could you ask for? And the highly problematic Stinky Pete, a toy who was caught and arrested on misconduct charges.
You know, I'm sure I could get you a part in Toy Story 3. I'm sorry, are we back?
Ugh, what a creep. Toy Story 2 also has a great balance of all the main characters. None of them get amnesia or stop acting like themselves for an arbitrary reason for most of the film. They all serve a purpose in the wider narrative and each have their moment to shine. Seeing the human world being explored by a bunch of toys is a ton of fun. The conflict of the film is well written, and it ends on a climactic, satisfying note. This film is fantastic and I love every second of it. Another reason why this film sticks in my mind to this day is the tie-in video game for PC. Toy Story 2 Action Game, or as the inferior console ports were known as, Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. This was one of my most played games as a kid, and I didn't even own a legal copy of it at the time. Our next door neighbor would very kindly but not very legally copy some of their computer games to blank discs and give them to us, this game being one of them. I played it all the time, but I could never get past the elevator level until I was an adult. In fact, it was only recently that I beat the game for myself. Yeah, it took me over 20 years to beat a game made for babies, sue me. Since I'm feeling nostalgic and talking about such an iconic franchise, let's take a look at Toy Story 2 Action Game for PC. What? Toy Story 2 Activity Center was developed by Engineering Animation Inc. and published by Disney Interactive. Released in 1999 around the film's release. It features 6 exciting activities. I have nothing else to say about this game I didn't know existed. The game starts and we gotta enter a name for our save file.
Oh, you're new to these parts. Welcome, partner.
Thanks, Buckaroo. Buzz and Woody are watching the logos for this game and we're watching them watch the logos.
Cartoons lack dimension.
No one asked you, Bud Lightyear. We can flip through the TV to choose an activity, or we can just sit here and stare at Woody and Buzz staring at the TV. Both options seem equally exciting to me. After a bit, Woody will remind us that we can in fact select an activity on the TV should we choose to.
When you see one you like, click on the screen to jump right into the fun.
Okay, but what do I do if I don't see any I like? I guess we'll start with Cone Chaos. A clone of Buzz from the Uncanny Valley pops up to explain how to play this game. It's basically a Frogger clone, but it's themed to the scene in the movie where the toys use traffic cones to get across a busy road. That scene always stressed me out. Like, come on, Mr. Potato Head, why are you stepping on a gum? You're about to get squished by a huge rolling concrete thing, look out! The arrow keys move the cone around and spacebar drops the cone to stop traffic. There's also potholes, which probably aren't good to jump in, as well as sticky gum that causes the character to get stuck. This whole minigame is more accurate to the movie than anything from the action game. I really hate the sound design here. It's just constant traffic sound effects like honking horns and ambulance sirens. Really obnoxious. I had a really hard time making progress in this minigame. I managed to cross the road one time, but wasn't able to replicate that success otherwise. There were a few times I was sure I had enough time to get out of a lane before being hit, but nope. It could be that I'm just bad at this game, but I couldn't complete it even once, so I gave up. After losing, the game gives the option to either go back to the main menu, reset to try again, ask for help, or just straight up rage quit. it. For some reason, after selecting the option you want, the game asks if you're sure that's what you want to do.
If you're sure you want to go back to pick another game, click again.
Why would you ask me to double click here? Of course I want to pick the option I want to pick. What is this, a game made for babies who can't read yet? Oh, that makes sense. The next activity is Toy Shelf Showdown. Zurg is up on a top shelf in Al's toy barn, and all his minions are on the shelves below. Zurg is so ticked off he's shooting at us and Buzz before we even start the minigame. What a loser. There are scattered pieces of a rocket ship on the 3 shelves we have to collect so Buzz can launch up to the top and stop Zurg. There's these balls we can bounce on to get to the higher shelves. Arrow keys move us around, and spacebar fires Buzz's laser. Buzz has to step on the pieces of the rocket to knock them down to the lower shelves. If Buzz gets too close to one of the minions, he's picked up, aggressively spun around, and thrown to the bottom, losing a life in the process. Honestly, it's not a bad minigame, although I did forget about Buzz's laser for most of it. A neat detail is that when a rocket piece is falling down, if there's a minion underneath it, they're squashed to death and leave the game. So there is some variety on how the player can deal with them. Once the pieces are in place, Buzz flies the ship to the top shelf and rips out Zurg's batteries. Wait, isn't that the equivalent of ripping someone's guts out? There's other levels of difficulty to choose from, and overall this minigame is pretty solid. Definitely better than Cone Chaos. Next we have Critter Corral. It's a simple board game where you gotta move your pieces from one side to the other. You can move in any direction, and even jump over other pieces to move to further out spaces. There's 3 levels of difficulty and even a multiplayer option here. I don't have anyone around to play with right now, so I guess I'll just play alone. This minigame is actually pretty fun. So fun, in fact, that I don't have a lot more to say about it. It's fun, but to be fair, it's just a simple board game with simple rules, so how could they have messed that up? Best minigame so far, for sure. Luggage Lunacy is one of the worst video gaming experiences I've ever gone through in my entire life. We've got to guide Buzz through this conveyor belt looking liminal space to find Woody. Buzz says the controls are just the arrow keys to move around and spacebar to fire his laser, but he's actually a lying psychopath. The left and right arrow keys make him turn, and the up arrow key sends him in whichever direction he's facing.
I can't believe you lied to me, Bubs Light Dude. I don't want to play with you anymore.
It took me a bit of time to wrap my head around this setup, but once I figured out the controls, I assumed it would be a cakewalk to beat this level. But the game has some other tricks up its sleeves. For example, waiting too long on some of the objects like these boxes will cause Buzz to fall through and be sent back to the beginning. You also have to fire the laser before stepping on one of the animal carriers, otherwise Buzz falls in and gets mauled to death by a cat. At first I thought my goal was to get to this brown suitcase, but that was a trick. Anytime I felt like I was making progress, I made a small mistake and got sent back to the beginning. It's very frustrating and I gave up. Not as bad as Cone Chaos, but not as good as Toy Shelf Showdown and Critter Corral. Next we have Create a Comic Book. Wait, that rings a bell. It's a very simple and intuitive comic book creating tool with a bunch of stickers and backgrounds we can use to create an artistic masterpiece. I made this piece of art right here. I'm getting a really weird sense of deja vu right now, but that won't stop me from creating the most existential and morbid image that anyone has ever created in Toy Story 2 Activity Center. I'm ranking this one right below Critter Corral. Last and absolutely least is Woody's printing press. We get to print out some printables, and by that I mean it gave me an error every time I attempted it. So I guess we don't get to print out some printables. Oh well, at least I can Google Toy Story 2 coloring pictures and find something similar. Like these totally legit and definitely not gross AI generated coloring pages courtesy of craftingagreenworld.com. How fun! Oh yeah, and I can't forget the credits either. There's credits here, and they sure are credits. That wasn't very good. Sure, it was just a minigame collection for babies, but it was a bad minigame collection for babies. I wouldn't subject my worst enemy to Toy Story 2 Activity Center. A couple of the minigames were kind of fun, but it was mostly garbage. At the end of the day, it's just a cheap product made to advertise another product, and we can just leave it at that.
Lively, it looks like I'm not too late.
Oh hey, live action reboot Yellow M&M Man. Do you want to play Critter Corral with me?
What are you talking about? I came to prepare you for his arrival. There's not much time to... Wait, did you say Critter Corral? Like from Toy Story 2 Activity Center?
Yeah.
Maybe later. But right now I have to warn you about what he's planning. He has something you won't be able to resist.
What are you talking about?
It looks like you forgot about him. He must have wiped your memory or something. But no matter, whatever he offers you, you must resist.
Just spill the beans, man!
Did you just say beans?
Wait. Think I remember now. It's all coming back to me. I know exactly who he's talking about.
want to put some dirt in your eye.